Buckle up for another episode of Ghostfacers, a supernatural rewatch podcast. Oh, I don't like the sound. My name is Richard. Sitting shotgun as always. Oh God, is my brother in podcasting Reed?
Hey, you're so pretty.
Oh no, I don't. What's oozing? Oh, I don't.
Oh God, I ectoplasm.
Oh no! Let's get away from this.
Ghostfacers! We visit ghosts, where others were not, we're ghosts! Ghostfacers! Stay in the kitchen when the kitchen gets hot! Ghostfacers! We visit nightmare, we visit dread! Ghostfacers! We visit faceless, we visit dead!
Welcome to Ghostfacers! Today, we're discussing Season 2, Episode number 6.
Yeah.
That's right. Just like this podcast, no exit.
Yeah, you're all in here stuck with us now.
There's nothing you could do about it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you could turn it off, but...
We're all in this basement slowly running out of air.
Oh no, what? Huh?
Huh?
This episode gets its name from the play No Exit.
Yeah, we clos. See.
Little Jean-Paul in there.
Jean-Paul Sartre.
That's right. In which 3 people are trapped in a small room together in hell, only to discover that they are meant to act as each other's torturers.
Yeah, there's the very famous line from that play, which is "Hell is other people."
Yes, a very famous line that I think people don't realize where it came from.
Yeah, a thing that I had at one point considered tattooing on my body so I wouldn't forget it.
I don't think you need
And
to
now
be
I
reminded.
realize I don't need that to remember.
No.
Yeah.
There's a thing called the news.
And just life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need anything specific.
No, I need no reminders.
No. But before we start talking about this episode, we have a review. That's right, baby.
Very nice.
From the original Genevieve via Apple Podcasts USA. USA. No. With the subject, loving this podcast, 5 stars. Thank you for the humor, the insight, the lore, and the genuine love for the show. I used to subscribe to another SPM podcast, which shall remain nameless, and the host just bashed everything. Ghostfacers podcast is a fun listen. Carry on.
Wow. Yeah, if you defect to us, that review counts as 2.
Yeah, let us know.
I don't think we're counting these ones, but...
Yeah, sure we are.
Sure.
Once we get somewhere, we'll say something.
Yeah. No, that's very lovely. Thank you.
Thank you, Genevieve. Much appreciated.
Thank you to the original Genevieve. Put some respect on that name.
Yeah, not Genevieve 98.
No.
Not Genevieve _1.
Do you think this is like the original Genevieve Padalecki?
Is that her name?
No, it's not.
I was like, I didn't think it was.
I don't think it is.
No, it's not. It's something with a G, but like something similar to that, I think maybe.
It is Genevieve.
Is it?
It sure is.
We're bad fans.
Wow. Tell Jared that we love him and we're sorry for critiquing his acting.
I'm sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
I'll do it again. This episode aired November 2nd, 2006. Written by Matt Whitten. It's written by Matt Whitten.
Nice.
It's written by Matt Whitten. Poor little Matt Whitten. Never coming on the podcast.
No.
Directed by none other, the one and only
Kim Manners?
That's right, Kim Manners.
Baby.
Mind your manners, cause Kim's here.
Yeah.
And I've been a bad little
And
boy.
I've written the squid boy.
Uh-oh, I made a duty.
Uh-oh, I made dialogue in my squid boy I've written. So stupid. That's so stupid.
I like this. Good. This was viewed by an estimated 3.38 million viewers.
Nice. Solid.
Yep, it's right down the line. Are you ready for it?
Okay. So, No Exit, which even though this episode isn't like the episode isn't based on the play, but that title is certainly riffing on the very famous No Exit. So I have to imagine that at the very least, the French title must be like Huis Clos or something like that. Like it must be No Exit. It must be the name of the play. There's no way the French title is not the name of the French play.
It is.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. The Finnish and French title are both No Exit.
Great. I really expected more of them to be No Exit though. So I'm a little bit interested.
The Brazil title?
Can't Get Out.
Basically, No Way Out.
No Way Out. Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
We cannot get out. Drums in the deep.
You've not turned that into this podcast.
They've taken the bridge and the second hall.
The Polish and Italian.
Like trapped or like trapped inside or something.
No, Without Exit.
Oh, okay.
Really needed that punch up there, Poland and Italy.
Yeah. No, it's not that there's no exit. Is that
there is?
Yeah.
We are without an exit.
sans sortie?
Yeah, that's basically what it was. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
All right, and the German one.
The German one is going to be like Murder House or something.
It's Murder Castle.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Good.
They go in for what's real.
I like that I'm starting to click into like what each country does.
I'm impressed, to be honest. But you know that we're missing one.
We haven't done Hungary, right?
That's right.
All right, Hungary.
This might.
I think this one is going to be outrageous because sometimes Hungary does that. I think this one is going to be like, in the basement of the devil or something like that.
I wish it was that. It is the opposite of that.
What?
Yes. This might be the most insane one I've seen.
Okay.
I mean, it makes sense in context of the show.
Sure.
But like, not the thing to focus on.
Right.
The title for the Hungarian episode, and I double checked this.
Okay.
Because I was like, really? Like, I'm just taking the sources that I'm finding these. I was like, I'm just taking their word for it.
Sure.
So I was like, let me double check some of these.
Right.
I double checked this. It's absolutely correct.
Okay.
You can look it up yourself.
Okay.
The Hungarian title for this episode is Blondes Preferred.
I mean,
yeah.
it's not wrong. It's kind of like how last week one of the countries had it where it was about like deadly premonition, which is like technically yes, but that's not really what the episode's about.
Well, it's like the advertising for the show, Hot Guys Hot Show. It's like, I mean,
it is, but again, that's not really
the thing to focus. That's not what's drawing people in, I don't think.
Blondes Preferred. I mean, if you titled an episode of Supernatural Blondes Preferred and then I got this episode, I'd be like, no, thank you.
No, that is
not what I signed up for.
No, that's a very different show.
Blondes Preferred. Wow. Would never have figured that out.
Never. I could not believe it when I read it.
Jesus Christ.
Completely bonkers. Yeah. The craziest one I've seen so far.
Yeah, that's definitely that's an out there one.
I can't remember who it was that recommended that we put a t-shirt out with just the Hungarian titles. I may have to do it. I might do it like a tour shirt or something.
We do one for each season.
Yeah. It might be really fun.
That actually is a fun idea.
Right?
Yeah. Supernatural season 1 Hungarian titles and then put all the titles on the back.
Yeah.
Oh, and like a tour shirts with like classic rock. Damn it, I like this idea.
I know, right? Oh no, I said it now. Now I have to do it.
Yeah.
Oh no.
That's how they get you.
Every time. Featured music for this episode. Oh, we got some bangers.
Right. Mambo number 5.
I was just like, why are you guessing?
I know. I was like, I realized partway through, I was like, I don't have to guess for this segment.
No, also, you could have watched the show and just know. So, but you didn't watch this episode, did you?
No, I have things to do. I watch it when we're doing the episode.
So, first song is Surrender by Cheap Trick.
Oh, love that.
Great song.
Is it like the Live at Budokan one?
No.
I know a lot about Cheap Trick.
Really? This many years in, I'm finding this out now.
I got a bunch of weird things I like.
But you don't passively like anything.
What do you mean?
You don't know how to half like something.
What, because I started watching a show last year in quarantine and that definitely launched into a podcast that will take 7 years?
What's the lore say about Cheap Trick? That's how you treat everything, isn't it?
Fun fact, Cheap Trick, who performs the opening like title theme for That 70s Show.
Oh, is that who that is?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's why they do that. We're all right. We're all over.
that
Because
a
that's
thing?
actually from Surrender.
Oh, is it?
It's a little musical Easter egg.
I mean, it's better than Meatloaf.
Let's see what the lore says about Live at Boudica.
Nope. The next one is Cold as Ice by Foreigner.
Oh, I also love Foreigner. Did
as
I
much
tell
as you like Cheap Trick?
They're both up there. My
Jesus
parents are
Christ.
super into both of them. Fun fact, I Want to Know What Love Is by Foreigner is my parents' first dance.
Really?
At their wedding, yeah.
My parents' song was Patio Lanterns.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kim Mitchell?
Yeah.
That's very Canadian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last featured song.
Okay.
This feels up a very specific time of your life's sort of wheelhouse.
Oh, is it like 10,000 Fists or something like that?
It's Mama by Godsmack.
Oh, yeah. See, you do know me.
Yeah,
you
I know
me pretty well. yeah.
Unfortunately. TV Guide describes
Don't know. That's how I put it.
this episode as Joe goes against her mother's wishes and follows Sam and Dean on a hunt involving the disappearances of blonde women who are preferred.
Yeah. Not the disappearance of Blonde William, the character that we met.
From a particular building. TV Guide. A very particular
I was
building.
going to say, have you noticed that you say particular with the
can't not.
Liam Neeson stank on it?
I'm looking for any blonde women.
I walk up and down the streets looking for a murder castle. Any murder castle will do.
No. But things don't go as planned. Wow. All right.
My goodness.
But before we start walking through today's episode, we should open up Dad's journal and talk about the real world lore on today's monster.
It's a big one. Let's see what the lore says about H.H. Holmes.
That's right, a real world monster.
100%
Yeah.
real.
Yes. What do you mean? Wait. Unlike the other ones? Wait.
No, those were 110% real.
Oh,
this
yeah.
is actually less real than the other things we've been talking about.
Oh, cool. So all of those victims, they were probably maybe not real.
Yeah, that's the bit that's not real.
Yeah, was the victims.
Okay, so the episode we're talking about circles around a thing that is true about H.H. Holmes. So
Okay.
his real name was Herman Webster Mudgett, which
Yeah.
is a fucking
I mean,
hilarious.
that'll make you want to kill people for sure.
Do you know what I love is the idea that like some names just don't work in like the current century.
Yes.
Like you hear someone's name is like Herman Webster Mudgett. It's like that's 1800s.
Yeah, like
like
yeah, nobody's getting birthed as a Herman anyways.
also like where are the Mudgetts?
Yeah. I mean, that might be a name in England.
No.
I mean, technically this is all in the US.
According
so.
to Dad's journal, no one has the name Mudgett.
Wow. Well, there you go. It was actually they born and this family had a last name and they were like, not this kid.
I mean,
Let's call him a
once we
Mudgett.
go through everything about this guy, I'd be like, I don't even think the name Holmes should be used anymore.
What's up, Holmes?
So he was born May 16th, 1861. He is considered to be America's first serial killer.
Yeah, so they called him a multi-murderer or something like that?
Something like that,
Yeah.
yeah. Because they didn't have the term.
Serial killer, yeah.
He was a doctor and a con artist. His first scams involved stealing corpses from his medical school and using them to make false insurance claims.
Wow.
He took on a bunch of different alii, but eventually became Henry Howard Holmes or H.H. Holmes. He was apparently also
he was catching checks all over the world.
yeah, so here's where we go from like fun scam artist to like very scary scam artist. He apparently was frequently engaged to women who then mysteriously disappeared.
Oh no.
Many of his murders appear to have been women that he would seduce, though he also later claimed to have murdered medical school classmates and others.
What?
He worked in a pharmacy in Chicago where he eventually took over the business, allegedly having killed the owner.
How is this not a movie yet?
He he built a 3-story house in Chicago. This is the thing that this episode really centers on.
Well, and I think
this is what H.H. Holmes is most famous for.
Yeah.
The 3-story house in Chicago was made of small living quarters upstairs and several smaller rooms, mostly for the use of torture and killing. There were trap doors and chutes and secret passageways all through the house, and like Sweeney Todd style, like chutes that would send corpses to the basement. There was a kiln down there where he would like burn like bodies. They also used like lye and stuff to like, you know, like in Breaking Bad with the tub.
Yeah.
They would do that to like dissolve bodies and that. He basically built a murder house. It's referred to colloquially as the murder castle.
Good Lord. I mean, just make me listen to Sweeney Todd. That's torture enough.
I mean, Sweeney Todd did A, less killings, and
Yes.
B, for better reasons. But yeah, apparently through his business and medical connections, also, he would sell skeletons to medical labs and schools, effectively making money off disposing of evidence.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So during the 1893 Columbian Exposition, he opened his home to visitors as a hotel, and many of these visitors were never seen again.
Good Lord.
Um,
Well, I guess they don't have Yelp or anything, right? So
yeah, all my friends died. 1 star.
yeah.
His preferred method of killing was asphyxiation.
Yelp is what they did. Yeah.
So either he would use chloroform
Yeah.
or strangulation, or he would enclose victims in airtight chests or in airtight rooms and slowly suffocate them.
I've been working out. I got an airtight chest now.
Oh, come on now. It's also said that he experimented with starvation of victims.
Yes.
So he wasn't even just like cutting people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's so much worse somehow. He left.
Yeah. If they died with a full stomach, you'd be okay with it, I'm sure.
I mean, that's my personal creed.
That's humane.
Jesus Christ. He did eventually have to flee Chicago, but here's why he had to flee. It wasn't about murders. Insurance companies were coming after him for arson.
What?
Like they suspected him for arson. So he had like a right-hand man, like an accomplice named Benjamin Petitzel. I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly, but he planned a heist, like a scam with outside of Chicago with Benjamin Petitzel, in which Petitzel would fake his own death and they would collect the insurance money. But Holmes just killed him and then legitimately collected the insurance money.
What?
Because he was actually dead. Then he told Petitzel's wife and 3 of their kids that Petitzel was alive and waiting for them. And he kind of fled, like lured them and fled with them to Detroit and then to Canada.
Yeah.
While he was fleeing with Petitzel's wife and their kids, fun fact, he was also simultaneously fleeing with his own wife, who had no idea that any of this was happening.
God, those are the days.
He was
Multiple
Mrs.
families.
Doubtfiring,
Yeah.
fleeing the country, going between 2 different places.
Jesus.
And also, fun fact, he was married to more than one woman at the same time.
Those are the days when you could have a multifamily, no one would know.
So when they got to Canada,
Yeah.
he killed Petitzel's wife and he killed the kids. The children were killed by being locked in a trunk with a hole in it to which he affixed a hose connected to a gas line.
Oh my God.
And this took place in Toronto.
No.
Yep.
Oh,
and he
no.
buried their bodies in a basement in a house on what is now known as Bay Street.
Really?
Like the house is gone because Bay Street's the financial district, but it was like downtown Toronto.
Whoa.
Yeah. So there's a Canadian connection to this one. The authorities eventually caught him. Guess what they caught him for?
For burning something down or stealing something.
They caught him in Boston. You're right with stealing, but you would never think of this. They caught him on an outstanding warrant for horse theft. him in Boston.
Wow. He got too cocky.
Like many like horrible criminals, he got brought down by something like it's like bringing down Capone for tax evasion. Or like, you know what I mean? Like it's that thing. Ultimately, he was only ever tried and convicted for a single murder, that of Benjamin Petitzel.
Yeah, but he said he did 26, right?
So hang on. So he at different times during being convicted and afterwards, he confessed to different things.
Yes.
Sometimes he professed innocence. Sometimes he said he was possessed by Satan. Sometimes he confessed to almost 30 murders in Chicago and Indianapolis and Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
He's suspected of having committed nearly 200 murders.
Yes.
But again, because so much evidence was disposed of,
they have no way to...
there's no way to really be sure. And also, to really fuck with people, some of the people he confessed to murdering were actually still alive.
What?
So he also lied about having killed some people just to fuck with people.
I desperately need to see this as a movie.
He was executed by hanging on May 7th, 1896, just before his 35th birthday. His neck didn't snap, so he died the long way, which is sort of poetic justice because it means he asphyxiated.
Yeah.
He asked to be buried. Okay, he asked to be buried in a coffin 10 feet down and covered in concrete so gravediggers couldn't get his body. And apparently they obliged.
Which is, that part
It was
I
an
never
unmarked grave, though, too.
That part doesn't make any sense.
Fast forward a little bit. In 1914, the person who was the caretaker of the murder castle, just the person just still looking after this building, killed himself with strychnine, and he left a note that just said, "I couldn't sleep."
Oh,
which is the scariest shit of all time.
Oh, no.
And then
I don't like that at all.
And then in 2017, they exhumed Holmes in order to quell rumors that he had escaped execution. They exhumed him to like DNA prove that he had died.
Oh my God.
And because of his unorthodox burial, he was actually better preserved than a corpse normally would be.
Yeah.
Because of the concrete and shit.
Oh my God.
So they found that his clothes and mustache were almost perfectly preserved.
Oh my God. That's terrifying.
And this is 2 pages of notes. I have breezed through. Even just the Wikipedia page, each paragraph is more insane than the paragraph that came before it. But there are novels written about this guy. There are like academic papers. Because again, he's like he's the first American serial killer. Certainly anyone with who would have gone on such a spree.
God.
You know, the fact that he had this elaborate house built, like everything about him was just evil. Like it wasn't like he killed 5 people because they wronged him.
Yeah.
He was just doing it.
God,
you know?
they don't make them like that anymore, do they?
I mean, I hope not.
You also can't get away with a lot of the stuff that he did back then.
I mean, again, you hope not.
Yeah. It's a scary world.
Isn't that fucked up?
That's really fucked up.
I think to me, the bit where I was like, oh, I mean, that house must just creep the shit out of people. What's the fact that the housekeeper or the caretaker killed himself? Just the note just said, "I couldn't sleep."
That's terrifying. That's the worst part of this whole thing.
It's fucked up.
That's awful. Where is that house still up? Like, does it still exist?
That's a very good question.
Because like
I should have.
Because I wonder, like, did it get torn down? I would assume that it's gotten
Murder
torn
Castle,
down.
Chicago, still there?
Yeah, that's a question for Google.
The building itself remained standing until 1938 when it was torn down. The
Yeah,
site
I
is
figured.
now occupied by a post office branch.
Oh no!
Yeah, there's definitely ghosts in that post office.
Oh no! Oh, I hope they don't go postal. Uh-oh.
That's not very sensitive. I think we're done here.
Wow. The most disturbing of that's worse than the Knucklevi.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is awful. I didn't like any of that. I didn't like any single part of that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that'll literally ruin my night.
Yeah.
But also now I need to know more.
I know. That's how it'll ruin your night.
Yeah, because now I'm like, well, now I need to like listen to a podcast about it, or like I need to read a book.
I would suggest that people go and read some of like
Wow.
the insane materials there are on it, because it's just it sounds fake.
Yeah.
But it's all true.
Wow. That's awful. With that, let's get into today's episode.
Woo!
It's great. Really looking forward to doing this.
Ugh.
I know. I was really excited for this episode.
Where are you going?
I don't know. I'm not paying attention anymore. And we're going here.
I love how in a numbered list you had a real hard time finding the number 6.
It's because I was like only half paying attention to what I was doing. Like most things in life. So.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, let's get into this.
Oh, yeah.
We're still getting like...
Saving people, hunting things, the family business.
We're still really only getting
That's
like...
some good then and now, baby.
But we're getting some Joe now because
Yeah.
we're getting... she's going to be in this episode.
Yeah.
We're getting matriarch of that family, Ellen.
Oh, Helen.
Oh, Helen, yes.
Oh, man.
Helen.
Man, the pants were all low rise back then too. I'm catching some of the styles.
Oh yeah. Big jackets, bootcut jeans, low rise.
What was it, 2 episodes ago or something like that, where Dean had a really good jacket for most of it, and then when he was sad, he was wearing the big boxy thing again. It was like a depression jacket.
This is my sad jacket.
Yeah.
No, yeah, they're really trying to play this whole Joe and
I feel like
Dean
this
thing.
episode is the episode where they give up on it.
I think so too. Yeah. So, all right, we're starting in this episode. We're in Pennsylvania.
Oh, which I should say is Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is where they executed H.H. Holmes.
Well, we find out that in this episode anyways.
Yeah, but that's the lore.
Okay, but I mean, that also shows us in this. So the episode opens in an apartment building. The lights are flickering. Scratches are heard in the walls. Girls on the phone complaining about the flickering lights.
Yeah.
She sits down onto a couch and then notices some black tar-like substance coming on the coffee table.
Thick. It's like acrylic paint.
I've been dehydrated like that once.
Oh god! And she's hearing stuff like on the floor, like the next floor.
Scratches. She gets up and walks towards the other end of the room. Everything's still like flickering a ton. I mean, this is not your ideal situation for...
No, everything about this is scary.
Is she wearing like a pilot's outfit? What is that?
No, she's wearing like a blouse.
Is that... Oh. Well, excuse me.
It's like a Western cut shirt. What do you mean a pilot's
It's because I saw that little clip
it's got
on...
the epaulette things.
Yeah.
So the tar is coming out of like an open wall socket. So also, this hotel room she's in has an open wall socket.
Well, it's an apartment.
Oh, this is an apartment. Oh,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that's right. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like this tar is coming out. It's
pretty...
But she's also
messed
just
up.
like staring at it, and then she sees an eye like through the wall, and we see the pupil dilate.
Yeah.
Oh god, very scary.
Very, very scary. I don't like it at all.
That's a good open.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
no splatter. Nothing.
Yeah, no splatter.
Yeah.
Just ooze.
Don't I know it? We're at the Roadhouse.
Wow, lucky lady.
Yeah. Sam and Dean are outside the Roadhouse making a joke about heading to LA to investigate the disappearance of Katie Holmes, who's been kidnapped by an evil cult. This episode aired about a year after Katie Holmes started dating Tom Cruise, who is infamously involved with Scientology.
Oh, so this was a deliberate like
Scientology knock, basically. However, as they're getting out of the car, they hear screaming and yelling inside the Roadhouse and go inside to see what's wrong.
Oh yeah, Ellen and Joe are like having a full-on like parent-kid screaming match because
she could scream at me like that.
Because Joe wants to hunt.
Yeah.
And Ellen is like, you're going to go back to school. And she's like, I haven't been in there. Like, she's got a real chip on her shoulder. The boys walk in and Ellen's like, bad time. And then this family of like tourists walk in. They're wearing like Nebraska shirts. And they're like, hey, you guys open? And they kind of get like a snappy, like short answer because everyone's like at an 11.
They're very much like a National Lampoon's family.
It does feel like that.
That's exactly. But it's like, does anybody actually do that? It's adorable, but yeah. So they get yelled at and they leave. That's when the phone rings, and when Ellen goes to answer it, Joe shows Sam and Dean the case of the death of the girl in Philadelphia apartment 3 days ago.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago.
Oh, sorry, 3 weeks ago.
So I love that we pick up on this thread from the previous episode too, where Joe's like, look at it, and Dean's like, and she's like, it won't bite, and he's like, your mom might.
Yeah, I mean,
because he's like, Ellen scares him a little bit. He's kind of like, it's maybe the only thing that's kept him at a respectful distance from Joe.
Yeah,
really,
100%. Yeah, and he clearly senses something is going on with.
And she says that she's put together this file herself, and Dean's like, all right. Okay.
Over the past 80 years, 6 women have disappeared from the same building, all young blondes, because blondes preferred.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Hungary.
Yes.
Yeah. But Ellen says, like, if you guys like this casework so much, you take the case. And Joe's like, but Mom. And she says something to the effect of, like, our family's lost enough. Or
And I won't lose you, too.
yeah.
So now the boys are in Philly.
Yeah.
They're...
I mean, for this show, City of Brotherly Love, that's dangerous.
Oh, whoa. Yeah. I'm into that, especially if you listen to that last episode.
Yeah, God.
We went deep on brotherly love.
Yeah. Oh, Matt Whitten. Sorry, just a name came up across the screen.
The boys sneak into the girl's apartment and scan the room for EMFs. Sam picks up a high signal when he pans over the light switch.
Yeah.
I mean, oh yeah, look at that drapey hair. Oh yeah, his like squinty little face. He's really acting the hell out of this scene.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is funny to like look at them. They both still have such like baby faces because they're just like in their like early 20s here,
Yeah,
you know?
so funny. So that's when he notices a tar-like substance and recognizes it as ectoplasm.
Yeah, that's right. I think this is the first time we've seen ectoplasm on the show.
Yeah, it's the first time. And Dean says, well, Sam, I think I know what we're dealing with. It's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is a 10-story, tall, gooey, earthly embodiment of Gozer the Destructor, as envisioned by Ray Stantz in Ghostbusters from 1984.
That's right.
Sam says he's only seen this stuff maybe once or twice, and in order to make it, you have to majorly piss off a spirit.
Right.
Like, the spirit has to be real mad for them to be able to produce something like that. And as the boys walk down the hallway, they hear voices and hide behind the corner. However, as the voices get closer, they realize that it's Joe who followed them there.
Yeah, and she says, hey, honey. And she's like, this is my boyfriend, Dean, and blah, blah, blah. Like, the guys just kind of have to play along or it blows up their spot.
Yes.
This is the landlord or whatever. Yeah, Dean's like, yeah, I was just checking out the one for rent. And he's like, how'd you get it? He's like, door was open.
Yeah, I love how completely suspicious this is. If I'm the landlord, I'm like, oh, are these guys going to murder me now? Like,
so they're posing. Well, Joe is making them pose as they are looking for this place. She hands him a wad of cash, and the guy's like, all right, you want to start renting? Sure, go for it.
By all means. And she basically says they need to start they need a fresh start. They want to rent an apartment. And they basically just go along with the charade. And after the money's dropped, I mean, yeah, there's no questioning it, right? Like, Sam and Dean are loading up their weapons, and Dean asks Joe if her mother knows she's there. Joe says that she left a note saying she was in Vegas and that she got Ash to lay a credit card trail all the way to the casinos.
Yeah, and then also, so now they're sort of debriefing or whatever.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm here. Untwist your boxers, deal with it. They're like, where'd you get all that money? And she's like, working. Hunters are shit at poker.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
There's a lot of that. She's got a lot of Dean, right?
Yeah, which is why they are trying to set it up, but Dean can't fall in love with Dean. He doesn't like himself. Dean's phone rings. It's Ellen wanting to know if Joe's with them. Dean's about to spill the beans, but covers for Joe and says that he hasn't seen her.
Yeah.
Going over now they're going later on. They're basically now a few hours in the future, going over the building's history. Joe informs them that this building was originally built in 1924 as a warehouse and then turned into an apartment complex a few years ago. Before that, there was nothing. There was no violent deaths reported in the past 82 years.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's really no reason why the crazy shit should be happening there.
Yeah, you would think thered be more of a pattern over a longer period of time.
Yeah, exactly. Except for something just starting right now. Sam thinks it could be a cursed object that brought the spirit along. They decide to scan every area of the building they can get to.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think it's basically at this point, they've got no options. They just are going to deal with whatever is around at this point.
Yeah, and then Dean is like, okay, Joe, you and me will take the top 2 floors. And she's like, it'll be faster if we split up. And Dean's like, nope, it's bad enough that I'm lying to your mom. I'm keeping an eye on you. You are not going off by yourself.
Exactly. Now Dean and Joe are scanning the first 2 floors and arguing about this hunt.
I do like that line of hers. If you're going to ride me this close, you might as well buy me dinner.
Jeez. I know.
Yeah.
I was like, God damn, that's a...
I think I'd immediately faint if someone said that to me.
I mean, you got choked up when that girl at the store you were working with asked if you wanted to go to a bar with her.
Well, I didn't realize that's what was happening even. I'm pretty oblivious. Yeah.
These are bars people will go to. And she's like,
Yeah. I don't know.
So Joe says that that they should use her as bait, as that would be the quickest way to catch the spirit. Dean chuckles in his throat and basically just says, I'm so regretting this. But they know it's kind of the only option they really have.
Yeah. I like this conversation that Dean and Joe have where he says, Joe, you have options right now. You don't have to be a hunter or anything like that. And she goes, I'm a little twisted. I like hunting. And he's like, it's not a thing to like. It's like kind of like it's partly because he knows what has happened to Sam, but it's also like the opposite of everything he said to Sam before, which has been like, you abandoned the life, blah, blah, blah. But he's like, no, like you could, I should have said this to Sammy. It's basically the subtext of this, right? Like it's a good moment for Dean, I think.
Also like cementing that like this girl's not somebody you're going to fuck.
Yeah, I think we're past it.
Yeah.
Like, I do think this episode is the one where Dean is like, no. This is like a sibling thing.
Yeah.
You deserve better than this. You deserve better than the sort of life I lead or people I associate with or am.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They continue walking down the hall. Joe stops at the corner scanning the halls. The camera pans down to a vent, and we see gray, gushy fingers extending out.
And Joe like whips around quick, like she heard something, but then nothing is there. And then Dean is like, "What you?"
They start smelling something that he recognizes but can't put a name to it, which is problematic. Joe.
Oh yeah.
Joe picks up high signals as she scans the vent, which then Dean will unscrew.
Oh yeah. Oh, this is the part where the episode gets scary for me. And beyond the actual supernatural elements of it is that when they unscrew this thing, like they discover in this apartment building that like there's like 2 feet between walls. It's like one of those buildings where you could just like walk between.
I always love that Bob's Burgers episode.
Yeah, exactly. With the raccoons.
And he decides to live in there and he's like, I'm never leaving.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly like that. I find that so creepy.
Really, eh?
I mean, I'm not claustrophobic more than what is reasonable.
I am 100% claustrophobic.
But just the idea of like, it's also just inefficient. You can have more space.
I mean, true, but it might be to catch air between them, maybe? I don't know.
It's only for murder, I think.
Dean unscrews the vent and
hair?
Reaches in,
hoping and it's on skin. I forgot about this.
Yeah,
oh, no.
Pulls out blonde hair. Are you going to be okay?
Yeah. Do I not look okay?
No.
Okay.
So now we're later in the day, and Teresa walks into the apartment later that evening.
Her apartment, elsewhere in the building.
Yes. Yeah. Reading a letter in the mail.
She has too many apples on that counter. She had like 24 apples in the biggest bowl I've ever seen.
I mean, okay, that's a thing to pick
no
up
one,
on.
No one eats that many apples.
She could live there with somebody
before
else.
they go squishy and bad.
Maybe she's gonna make apple pie.
Buy fewer apples at once. Come on, Teresa.
This is why you die. Drops of.
Do you know what? She deserved to get.
Oh no. Drops of ectoplasm fall from the ceiling. The lights start flickering, and she looks up at the ceiling and sees the walls shredding open.
Yeah. Ugh.
Like, yeah.
I do love, like, lights are, like, going, like, in Poltergeist. They're, like, going, and she's like, man, this building.
It's like, I don't think if that happens.
Come on, Teresa. If you actually ate some of these apples, you'd have the vitamins you need to make better decisions.
Yeah. Stop buying them to look at them and eat them.
She's just gramming. Did we have Gram back then? Probably not.
No, definitely not.
We barely had Twitter.
Yeah. I don't know what
2006 is the start of Twitter.
Good Lord.
Oh my God.
Oh no, I'm gonna throw so
this show is older than Twitter.
She rushes to the phone only to get static. She tries to the front door, but no luck.
Yeah.
Then she turns around toward the wall. She sees a hand coming out of the vent. It grabs her by the leg and pulls her in.
Yeah, like we see the fingers through the grate, but then the hand pushes through, like phases through the grate, and it grabs her. But we don't see the mechanism by which she then makes it through the solid wall.
She can't go through the.
Can a phasing ghost make you phase?
I can't imagine that's true, because it's not of matter.
Well, except it does grab her because it's capable of like physically manifesting.
I don't know. It's ghost magic. I don't know.
No.
The next morning, Dean is sleeping on the couch or on a chair and wakes up to the sound of sirens outside. The pose he's lying in is almost identical to the one Marty McFly Back to the Future trilogy is seen sleeping in on more than a few occasions, making a nod to the movies. Somehow the show will do more often during its future years, though.
But like, I mean, I know this show does this stuff all the time, but like deliberately?
Yeah.
Or is that just how cool people like sleep?
I mean, also, yeah, maybe. Yeah. Joe's been awake for some time, apparently reviewing all of the information so far, still twirling around the small pocket knife in her hand. Dean takes a larger one out of his bag and hands it to her, saying it will work better than that one. Well, he literally does that. That's not a knife. This is a knife.
Yeah, but he's looking at her knife and it has initials on it, and it's like William something Harvell.
Oh yeah,
and Ellen earlier said like we've lost enough, so it's like, oh yeah, where is Joe's dad?
Yeah,
So
you're starting to slowly realize.
That's not a knife. This is a knife.
Yeah, you literally get the like. Crocodile hunter. Love it. The problem is that she still clearly kind of wants to fuck him.
Yeah, she's come around on that, but Dina's like
not gonna happen anymore, which is good. It's a good Dean.
Yeah. We're starting to see good Dean.
Yeah, less dirtbag Dean.
Less.
Yeah, we still got a few seasons.
Oh, there are some great Dirtbag Dean episodes still to come.
Oh, yeah.
Some really terrific
We've
ones.
only just begun.
Really fun ones.
So she hands him hers and he reads the inscription. Yeah. Dean apologizes for the mistake and she asks him what's the first thing that comes to mind when he thinks about his dad. Dean recalls a time when he was 6 and his dad took him targeting for the first time. And he bullseyed everyone.
Which again is like, yeah, he got like validation from his dad, but only for the thing that made him useful.
Yes. Not great.
Joe
says she remembers her dad coming home from each hunt every night and how happy she and her mom were to have him home because they were a family again. Joe says that she wants to do this job for him.
Yeah.
You see why she's so demanding on wanting to be part of that hunter life.
And also understanding fully why Ellen is against it.
Yeah.
The exact same thing is motivating both of them in opposite directions.
Exactly. Yeah. Sam walks in and reports that the girl, Teresa, in apartment 2F disappeared last night. A bully.
The thing I can't remember in this episode is like, do the cops ever show up?
No, I don't think so.
Be like, how many people have to die? Like the thing we were talking about with H.H. Holmes, but like nowadays, how many people have to die in one apartment building?
Yeah.
Like, even if they can't find evidence, that landlord's getting taken down to the station.
Right?
Like, first off, must question
bare
that landlord,
minimum. There were cracks all over the walls and the ceiling and ectoplasm too. Joe points out in a picture over the area that the building next door was once a prison. She calls up Ash to get some information. This scene's got a lot of really cool stuff in it. One of the mortuary photos seen on the table is of Elizabeth Stride, a victim of Jack the Ripper, actually.
Oh, interesting.
Handwriting samples from Holmes and Jack the Ripper's From Hell letter, at least 97% matched.
Sorry, so there's a theory that H.H. Holmes was also Jack the Ripper?
The reason...
Because he died too early for that, though. Wasn't Jack the Ripper still, like, active post 1896?
I don't know.
Because they killed Holmes in 1896.
The reason these murders are attributed to Holmes is due to at least a few of them being killed by mutilation of their organs. It is thought only a surgical trained doctor could pull this off. Mysteriously, these murders took place during a blind spot in Holmes' record history. This has led many, including some of Holmes' descendants, to believe that H.H. Holmes is indeed Jack the Ripper. If this is true, Elizabeth Stride would have been another victim of his. In 2003, historical author Eric Larson wrote a book, The Devil in the White City, Murder, Magic, and the Madness at the Fair That Changed America. It is the factual account of the 1893 World's Fair and the cunning serial killer H.H. Holmes, who used the fair and his charismatic charm to lure his victims to death in the World's Fair Motel, which secretly housed both a gas chamber and a crematorium.
Well, hot damn.
Yeah.
While they're talking
Yeah.
and going through this stuff, they realize that the building was built on land near an old prison. And then they start looking at, like, well, who would have been imprisoned in said old prison?
Yeah.
They find the name Herman Webster
Yeah.
Mudgett. Sam goes, isn't that H.H. Holmes' real
Yeah.
name? And Dean goes, you gotta be shitting me. Like,
Yeah.
It doesn't say exactly that, but
Yeah.
they're like, holy shit.
Like this
And
is...
then he goes, he used chloroform. He's like, and then Dean goes, that's what I smelled in the closet.
Whoa.
No one is saying, you know the smell.
Yeah, why do you know the smell of chloroform so well?
This is why Dean doesn't want this life for anyone else.
Yeah.
It's so fucked up to just know these things.
Yeah, like why do you
To
understand
see the
this?
name Mudgett and be like, oh, is that serial killer?
This is also the first sort of... We're getting a bit of finding out that Sam is like really into like real world murders.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And they even say they didn't want, he didn't want anyone mutilating his
Yeah.
corpse, which is true, which is why he was buried under concrete.
They're basically going over a lot of the stuff.
They're talking about, this stuff. They talk about the murder castle in Chicago. It's interesting to put this in Philadelphia because that is where Holmes ended his life, right? He was put on trial there. He was imprisoned there and he was executed there. So when you think of Holmes, you think like, oh, well, we must be going to Chicago. But of course, the murder castle isn't there. But to take those ideas and concepts
But
and
also-
then bring them
yeah.
to this other place to which he is tied. Very kind of smart, creative, interesting way of doing this.
Brings a way to actually get H.H. Holmes into an episode.
Totally.
Because
oh,
why would
God,
his-
look at this. No, why? Why are they in the walls? I can't remember how they figure out that there's space between the walls here.
I mean, that much...
Was that just from Dean looking inside the grate before?
I think so. Yeah, they're going like, how is he moving around, maybe,
Yeah.
or something like that. I'm not sure.
Ugh.
But clearly he's moving throughout the building. So
It's so creepy.
it's not great. Um,
yeah. How are you feeling?
yeah, not good. Yeah, I mean, this is even upsetting.
Well, and
to
then
me.
there's a part. They get to a spot where like it's too close, and Dean can't squeeze through. So now Joe has to
of course,
go through. Of
Yeah.
course.
yeah. Why else would that happen, right? So yeah, Jesus Christ, this is awful. I don't like any of this.
I know, it's so creepy. And then she has to round a corner. Yeah, I mean, this is bad.
Which at that point she starts seeing like ectoplasm.
Oh.
It's like seeping through the bricks.
I like the way it's shot. We get some like POV stuff, and then some of the like the cameras walking backwards,
Yeah.
like pointing at Joe.
I hate that.
I love that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love that too.
Well, no, I just mean like in terms of building the tension
Yes.
and stuff like that. I think it's really like effective.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, did my internet go out?
Oh my God! Now we'll never know what happened to them. We just end the episode.
That baby. I mean, that's the thing we were doing, Dr. DC.
That does sound like a thing we would do. Yeah. Here we go. Back in the walls, right where we belong.
Wait, what? So she's on the phone with Dean, and
Because does she climb down a floor?
Yeah.
So Dean's gonna go down
meet
on the
her.
outside
Yeah.
and then meet her.
or at least try to.
yeah.
She just gets like deeper and deeper into the building, which
I know. And then, yeah, the ectoplasm starts oozing out of like the boards and stuff like that. She's stuck in there with it.
so much ectoplasm.
Yeah.
That's like the
Yeah.
amount that my doctor needed me to try to like produce to do a sample. And I was like, I can't fill a jar that big.
No, certainly not.
No.
It's like a 4-liter jug.
Yeah. Yeah. I could do maybe 1 liter.
Come on. Dean is just taking a sledgehammer to these walls. It's kind of dark in this building. Is it nighttime? Like, where's the landlord? Where's anyone?
How is nobody responding to hammering? Or is he just murdered so many people that there's just no one left?
Everyone is so inured to murder happening in the building that you could just literally sledgehammer a hole in the wall and no one will even open their door.
Yeah, it's fine. Like, why should that be a problem?
Yeah. Yeah, Philly strong. Sometimes people get murdered. That's just the way it is.
Dean starts, after hearing basically Sam's phone cuts out as she's sort of like realizing what's going on.
Yeah, he sees Joe's phone on the ground when he
Yeah.
punches the hole in the wall and he looks inside. So
He starts basically
so
running around.
Sam
trying
is
to
like,
figure
we
out.
gotta think about this. We gotta figure it out. We gotta figure out where she might be.
Yeah.
And while that happens, Dean gets a call from Ellen.
Yeah. Who demands to know where Joe is and tells Dean basically that. Dean basically goes, okay, we'll get her back. And she's like, wait, what?
Yeah, well, because she's like, I want to talk to my daughter. And Dean goes, she's taking care of feminine business. Which, of course, doesn't work.
And it's such like a guy like excuse.
And this is an interesting line. He says, I'll get her. We'll get her back, I promise. And Ellen says, that's not the first time I've gotten a promise from a Winchester. And you go, like, because
What
again,
the
like,
fuck happened?
what happened with John and Ellen?
Yeah, you have no idea, right?
Yeah.
Like you're just like,
Because that's a heavy line.
Yeah.
Like, that's a, okay, fine, we'll hang up the phone now, but, like, we need to talk about whatever this is.
So Sam notices that there's a sewer system connected to the building, and basically maybe that means that that's the way that he's getting people is. Where is he taking?
Because they're trying to think of a H.H. Holmes.
Yeah.
They're like, we know we're not in the murder castle, but he had a spot in the basement.
Yeah.
And they're like, there isn't a basement in this building. And then, so they go like, but the sewer is there. That must be like where the spirit of H.H. Holmes is. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
that's the pattern, right?
Mm-hmm. Joe wakes up and finds herself trapped in a tight space.
This is bad. She's like in like a chest.
Yeah.
Like a box.
It's absolutely awful.
It's really, really, really bad.
She turns on her flashlight and sees fingerprints and dried blood on the ceiling.
Like all the scratch marks
from other women.
the
that have
being
been there.
like buried alive or trapped in a box.
Yeah.
Like that's a bad, scary fear.
Not good at all. In the next room, Joe sees Teresa, and she tries to assure her that Sam and Dean will find them.
Yeah, there's like a little slat in the box, so it's not airtight.
What's in the box?
But yeah, so they're in this. I don't know why the sewer has like a box chamber.
Yeah,
but the sewer has a box chamber. There's a bunch of boxes.
Yeah. Holmes then walks into the chambers and reaches into Joe's cell and grabs a handful of her hair.
Yeah.
Oh, which is just. This is also a weird interpretation of H.H. Holmes. Like, I don't mind them making him seem like this, but it seems a lot more of like he's like a big bumbling, like sort of oafish.
Yeah.
Like there's less, and I get that he's a big spirit, so he's not going to be like eloquent or anything, but it seems more like, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't seem like a mastermind.
Does he not talk in this one?
I don't think so. I think he screams at some point.
For some reason, I thought he was one of the spirits that actually speaks.
I don't think
Maybe
so.
I'm making that up. Yeah, I do like the aesthetic of this. It's just all the like the cobwebs and like the kind of just random wet on the floor, like the dampness.
Oh,
of
it's
being down
terrifying.
there. It's really bad.
Yeah, fully terrifying.
Yeah, he rips a bunch of her hair out, which is gross.
Like they do a great job of it. There's very much that like suspense and like not showing him really, which is terrifying in itself.
Cut to just like walking the streets. Sam's got a metal detector and Dean's got a shovel because they're trying to trace these old sewer lines. But just like
That visual.
the visual of like just two people in the street walking that way and no one has stopped them. Philly must be a magical town.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, just a guy with a metal detector and a shovel. Obviously, nothing mysterious could be happening.
Yeah, exactly. So they find a spot on this sort of empty lot where presumably the box chamber is.
The X marked the spot.
Yeah. So Dean starts shoveling.
Yeah, it's crazy that how deep they find this hatch. The island must have sent them there.
Yeah. Yeah, Desmond opens it up. I've been down here for so long.
Penny. It's not Penny's hatch. So they find would you go down a random hatch in the ground you found?
I wouldn't do so many of the things that they do.
That's why I watch this.
Yeah, this is I could just like say like, oh, I know how to hunt. I've watched Supernatural.
Yeah, like you know how to
no,
fly
thank you.
Like you know how to fly the Enterprise.
I could legitimately command a starship. I know enough. I've read like the tech manual.
You're like, you updated the OS. What am I supposed to do?
I know how it works. We got to realign the tachyon pulse. Do you know Sam never tells Dean that they have to do that? Fun fact.
Realign
Here's
the
a fun
tachyon pulse?
fun supernatural fact. They never realign the tachyon pulse.
I mean, they're never in a spaceship. I think that's a pretty good reason.
Touche.
Yeah.
See, he does talk. She like looks through the slat and you just see the mustache and these kind of gross, dirty teeth and that. He says, "You're so pretty."
Okay, barely, but yes, I guess that counts.
But that's more than we've gotten out of almost any ghost. The woman in white spoke.
Yes.
That's more than we've gotten out of almost any ghost. But his hand is in there, is like touching her neck and stuff. Oh God, it's so creepy.
But it also doesn't feel like H.H. Holmes. Like I don't know if that was like I don't know if his thing was like a sexual thing.
He seduced women and killed them.
I mean, but I think it was more about the killing. So the seducing had to happen for the death.
Yes, but we don't have any evidence, so how would we know? But I mean, even if it wasn't about having sex, there was clearly something like alluring,
arousing.
The idea of just like touching her neck or feeling her shoulder or something like that, I don't think is out of character based on what we do know.
Based on the guy
Holmes.
that I know, I don't know.
He couldn't do this. He's super nice to me.
Yeah. He was such a nice guy, though. He was a great neighbor.
Jesus Christ.
So we go back to the sewers.
You're like victim denying with H.H. Holmes.
I think he was just misunderstood.
Such a weird stance to take.
Also, I don't know if OJ did it.
God. Oh my God. Is this where we're going? We're just going to start apologizing for all these famous murderers. Guess we're not getting OJ on the show.
Oh no. Oh man.
Yeah, Jo gets her knife out.
Yes.
The little knife that Dean made fun of. She gets it out because I mean she's just trying to be ready. H.H. Holmes reaches through again and grabs her and like covers her mouth so she can't scream, and he's like shushing her.
Yeah, starting to suffocate her, I think, right?
Yeah, which again, I think that's sort of vintage H.H.
Yeah, see, this is the kind of guy. This is the guy I was looking for.
Yeah, so Sam and Dean shoot him through like this gate.
Yeah, with rock salt. Yeah.
And they blow the ghost away, at least for a bit.
Yeah, Sam and Dean get both Jo and Teresa out of their cells.
Oh, so crazy.
Sam gets Teresa out of the sewers, but Dean says that they have to use Jo as bait because it's the only thing he can think of at this point.
Well, yeah, because it'd be one thing to just get them out, but they gotta take out.
Yeah, you can't just leave him. Yeah,
because he'll just keep doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean
that rascal, he just won't stop.
Man. Him and his Pringles, am I right?
Yeah. Once you have one, once you pop the top, you just can't stop.
So gross. Oh man, I'm still just creeped out by the idea of being stuck in like a box or a sewer or between the walls of a house.
I think you might be claustrophobic.
I think that's a reasonable thing to be afraid of. I don't think that makes you claustrophobic. Like, I'm fine in an elevator. You know what I mean? Like,
Loving it in an elevator, yeah.
clearly been fine in the closet up to this point.
I'm sorry, you think you're in the closet?
What do you mean?
I think you need to listen to, what episode is this?
All of them?
Yeah, all of them. So Joe agrees to
It's
it
so called out.
and sits in the middle of the open chamber, sitting perfectly still. Which is awful.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing with ghosts, right? I mean, this ghost can talk. He's obviously got some degree of his own sort of consciousness and stuff like that. But like, ghosts are also kind of dumb and tied to the thing they do.
Yeah.
We finally get like a good shot of him. He's wearing like the old timey like 3-piece thing with the tie. He's got a rocket beard.
Yeah. Good look.
Although I guess based on the description and stuff of him, he should really just have the mustache.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But
Holmes suddenly appears behind Joe and inches closer and closer to her. As he's hovering directly above her, Dean suddenly fires a buckshot into the ceiling, releasing salt that falls to the ground in a perfect ring, surrounding the entire chamber, trapping Holmes inside.
Yeah, which is like a cool thing. Like they've rolled it up in a tarp. So then when it releases, it just falls in a circle. It's a good little... I do like that sort of thing in Supernatural where they like... They know this thing works and then they do like just a variation.
Yeah.
So they do that and then they seal it up. They close the thing and HH is screaming. It's a weird episode in that they
don't like get rid of the ghost because they can't find the bones.
But also they can't get at them. They're buried in concrete.
Yeah.
Right?
And on an unmarked grave.
In an unmarked grave, they wouldn't find it.
Yeah.
So the idea of like, we just have to trap this ghost for as long as we can?
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't get out again.
Oh, right. This is what happens too.
Yes.
This is another fun nod to the real life burial of H.H. Holmes.
That's right.
Is
they steal a cement truck.
Yeah, and just pour cement down to seal like the passageway.
Yeah, exactly.
From where they were digging.
Because it's not really going to keep him away. But
it wasn't an active sewer. It was like old infrastructure from an older version of Philadelphia.
Yeah, so they're not like suddenly like blocking up all these people's sewage.
Would be really funny to just see like a bunch of water mains burst.
That would be really good.
Time to head home.
And they basically say Holmes will remain down there until all hell freezes over.
Yeah,
which rules. I mean, it's such a visceral like vision to see.
I do love, again, it can't take place in the murder castle because that's gone. But finding like an old apartment that could feasibly have space between walls.
Yeah.
It's not technically trapdoors and chutes, but it's the same idea. Finding the sewer, like the basement thing, having the casks and the boxes down there, burying the entry in cement. It's such a fun way of sort of nodding to all of these real things about H.H. Holmes, a way to include H.H. Holmes in the show and talk about this very famous piece of like American crime history. It's a really clever little device, I think.
Oh, totally. One of the things that we didn't talk about before was when Dean was on the phone with Ellen, she says, I'm getting on the first flight there. I'll be there in the morning. So now we're in the next day and they're in a car.
It's such an uncomfortable car ride.
Yeah.
It's Dean and Ellen in the front. It's Joe and Sam in the back. And Dean's like, so you weren't kidding about flying out, huh? How about we put on some music? And it's
cold as ice.
And then she immediately turns it off.
It's very funny.
It's going to be a long drive back to Nebraska from Philly.
Probably didn't have to pay for Cold as Ice if that's all they played of it.
Probably, yeah.
That's pretty smart.
Even Dean says this is going to be a long drive, yeah.
Yeah, that's hilarious, yeah. So a few minutes later, Joe storms out of the roadhouse and Dean tells Dean to back off and leave now. Yeah. Suddenly she's super mad at him and we don't really understand why.
And Dean's saying, listen, this is my fault. I lied to you. I'm sorry, but she did well out there. Like, maybe you don't, you're not wrong, but you also don't need to worry about her as much. Like, she's capable, Dean's trying to do something. But Ellen's just like, guys, and they're like, okay, and they leave, and then Ellen and Joe can have it out a little bit. Ellen doesn't like that she was being used as bait. And Ellen's like, you're trusting them, don't be dumb, like father like sons. And again, like, what the fuck did John do?
Which now even she's just like, even Joe's like, what do you mean, John? Like, what? I thought you guys were just friends. She's like, we were, but I didn't.
Yeah.
And that's when you
and now Ellen's like, Do
they actually say it in this? I can't remember.
I'm waiting. Oh, they cut to outside.
Oh yeah, this is where she tells them. That's why. Oh, because she comes out, she's super mad.
Right, Joe comes out.
Yeah. Joe comes out of the roadhouse super mad, basically, and like doesn't even understand why she's suddenly so mad at him, and he's just like, all right, bye. He's like, I don't.
Yeah.
Like, which is not really what Joe wants. But it turns out that her dad was partners with John.
Yeah, it's like your dad had a partner on his last hunt. He normally worked alone, but they went out together. John screwed up. Her dad got killed. That's what Ellen's issue is here. Why do you think John never came back? Never told you about us? It's because he couldn't look my mom in the eye. Because when you leave off before, you're like, oh, they're gonna do the thing where like John is Joe's dad, and that's why they've been playing coy about Dean and Joe.
Yeah,
this is a much more interesting.
Yeah. Oh, this is a better way
to give, because it's also like John fucked up. So again, the guy they learned everything from
is maybe not
is also like a fuck up.
Not the hunter that maybe they thought he was.
Not only morally, but also just. Like in terms of capacity.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was just one of those things where, again, like he gets too, it's about the mission, like that Batman thing. You're too focused, and he could have maybe let something go and saved the guy, and he didn't, right? Yeah. So it's a good little moment, and a real kind of downer to end the episode on.
Yeah, for real. So what did you think of it?
I mean, like I already said, the conceit of using Philly to touch on H.H. Holmes.
Smart.
And then all of the ways that they can do the idea of the murder castle without it having to exist. It doesn't have to be set in a world where it didn't get torn down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or something like that. But they can also then, the show can talk about the lore, like, if we're going to figure this out, we got to think like him, and then you can learn the pieces, all the little like nods and that. It's also just a creepy kind of ghost, because a lot of the ghosts and monsters in that, they kill right away.
Yeah.
This idea of being dragged somewhere else and then just slowly suffocated for curiosity's sake. Like, it's such a insidious kind of thing. It's actually way scarier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and then also the character stuff we get for Dean and Joe and Ellen, even though Ellen's barely in this episode, is really solid. Again, they make the more interesting choice than like Ellen and John were sleeping together, or that John is Joe's dad, or I could see other shows just doing that. But this is a much more interesting thing, a more complicated thing, and it adds to the pile of shit this season that the guys have to parse through to be like, are we doing this right? Like in this episode, they don't even manage to kill the ghost. Like, no, they do everything they can, but it also is like, are we doing this right?
Yeah.
Like, so much of this season is about questioning everything we set up last season, which was like, Winchesters know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And this season is the exact opposite. I love that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. I love the Dean questioning himself, basically telling Joe the opposite of the stuff he told Sam, which is like, you have options. You don't have to be a hunter. And then he's like, but you could be a hunter. But like, you could see the conflict in all of them in different sort of stages. I think it's a good episode for that. We're not really touching on the demon. We're not touching on the big kind of piece like we did last week with like the other psychics. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
it's nice to give a little bit more depth to these new characters that we've got, like Ellen and Joe. I really like this episode. Plus, the fact that it's based on something 100% real, like this piece of like legendary, insane true crime.
Yeah,
is cool and a different
thing. Way to think about it, because at this point, like,
because even the vampire episodes, they haven't done like Dracula. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, or like it's
They're
even
still
the
not
episodes
doing-
with recognizable things. It's not like, and that's the thing from this book, or like. So this is such like it's kind of like an interesting one-off episode, maybe since Bloody Mary, where it's like this is a thing. Even Bloody Mary takes liberties, kind of, because that lore is so all over the place.
But it's also not based off a real thing. This is based off a real thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's really, really cool. I love this episode a lot. I think I'm gonna give this episode, you know what? I'm giving it 5 Jean-Paul Sartres.
Whoa!
I'm giving it 5 no exits, baby.
Well, that's a wet Sart if I ever heard one.
Oh no.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think that they do a good job of, like, it's pretty dang scary.
Yeah.
They do a lot of really good, like, horrific stuff. It's not it's still not like they're not playing off of like some sort of classic trope, which is sort of they barely have been doing that. I think this might be one of the very first ones that really.
It's also not a brothers fight episode,
No.
which is such a like
very refreshing.
I didn't even think of it until right now, but it's like, oh, thank God.
yeah. I really like that part. Not getting enough like sort of charm as much as I would like.
Sure.
It's a bit introspective for sure, and I also don't really love Joe. I think this episode is the biggest anchor in this episode. The big thing weighing it down is Joe, in my opinion.
Right.
I don't really like the annoying little sister thing that they have going with her. It's not what I like about the show. I don't like the weird sexual tension they tried to do in previous episodes. And this is now it's just like now he's teaching her. Like it just seems misplaced as like point this towards Sam. Like
right.
I'm not in love with that dynamic. I don't get enough like Holmesy type stuff from H.H. Holmes,
and you knew him.
Well, yeah, exactly. And maybe that's on me. I'm coming in with my own perspective.
You kind of look like. Wait a minute!
What?
Didn't you say you changed your last name? Oh my God!
Anyways, so I need to go into another room. Just through that door. I'm going to give this episode 4 lack of exits.
Very nice.
4 less exits than should be there.
Do you know what? I'm gonna slightly amend mine. I'm gonna go down to a 4.5.
Okay.
And I think it's because I do agree with you that while most of the episode structurally I really like, it is a little more dour. And I don't know that Joe is the best character to hold an episode down.
No.
I like the development for the character and I like where it's going, but I don't like that we have to spend so much time with Joe carrying the episode.
They really try to make her Dean in this episode. And so that makes Dean not really have a place.
I think you're right, and it's it fits with the character. It's the overcompensating kind of thing a little bit, but I agree. I think you won me over a little bit there. So I'll go down to a 4.5.
Awesome. Well, those are
still good scores.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. But before we leave this episode, let's check the Roadhouse bulletin board for some notes from some fellow hunters.
Ooh, all right.
Once again, we get another one from Squirrel.
Squirrel. That sounds like something Ash would say.
Yeah. Or Dean. In the asylum episode where the doctor used what you called the elemental electricity, you said that you don't see this anywhere in the rest of the season. And that is true, but I think there's a reason for it. Ghosts are not only tied to a location, but some are stuck in an unbreakable routine from their past life. Hence, the ghost doctor still tortures people, and I believe the ghost manifested the electrical abilities so he could continue to shock therapy because it would be harder to get to use the actual machine. Ghosts, especially old, more powerful ghosts, are able to manifest things that fit their needs or routine. Loving this podcast. Keep up the great work, guys.
Totally true.
Absolutely. I love
Definitely
that.
a thing that we revisit in the show too
Yeah.
as we go on is the levels of ghosthood. You know, like seasons from now, there's a particular episode I'm thinking of that is all about how ghosts work from basically start to finish.
We're a ghosthood of men.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you. Great notes. Love that.
It's great. If you have a note for this episode, maybe a past or a future episode that we are going to talk about, or you just want to say hello to us, you can reach out to us on our email.
It's ghostfacerspodcast@gmail.com.
And of course, we love chatting about everything supernatural in all of our social media platforms.
That's right. We're at GhostfacersPod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
And if you like what we are doing here, but maybe want something that's a bit different, we have a whole other podcast.
That's right. It's called the Dr. DC Podcast. It's about DC Comics. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts. And we take listener questions and we just break down the sort of fun, wacky, weird stuff from comic books. And if you like how we sort of break stuff down on this show and talk about the supernatural and that, especially as we go through it, I think there's a lot of crossover, a lot of cool stuff that you might like in comics as well. And I know some of you have already gone over that way and listened to that show and have like delved into comics.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Thank you for doing that.
I love seeing that. Whether you've only seen the pilot for Smallville or maybe one of the DC movies, all the way to you are one of the co-writers for a Kirby play.
Yeah.
We've got something for you.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So make sure to check out Dr. DC on all of the podcast platforms. You can get them. That is it for this week. Say goodbye, bitch.
Jerk.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.